Well, hello, my fellow Americans and fellow Christians, and thank you for joining me for another day of the Word of the Lord here in the United States of America. Peace be unto you, peace be unto the United States of America and the world. All great characters who have graced our world have had an adversary. Moses, Pharaoh; Elijah, Ahab and Jezebel; the Apostle Paul, Nero; John Knox, Queen Mary; Thomas Jefferson, John Adams; Alexander Hamilton, Aaron Burr; Abraham Lincoln, Stephen Douglas; Churchill, Hitler; Patton Rommel, MacArthur, Yamamoto, Kennedy, Khrushchev. I'm sure there are others you can add to this list. Yet all these men had a mission in life, and each one knew the distinction between truth and error, right and wrong. In every instance, reputation was at stake, and it was character that was the driving force of these personalities. Abraham Lincoln was quoted as saying concerning character, "Character is like a tree, and reputation like a shadow. The shadow is what we think of it. The tree is the real thing." Lincoln understood character was the sum total of what a person has been participating in their entire life. It could be either good or bad. Either way, what you are today is what you've been influenced by or taught your entire life. That's your character. The complaint today is there are far too many men and women without any character, any vision, any standard. In fact, the decent man and decent woman are considered out of touch with today's society when they express any words of disdain for today's immoral activities. They are off the reservation, so to speak. They are considered authoritative, dominant, and evil for pointing out destructive behavior. Years ago, I read an article called "Destructive Behavior Has Wings." The writer was suggesting that destructive behavior in America and the church is considered part of the psychology of men and women today. The piece suggested we in America are allowing ourselves to be influenced by destructive habits through music, television, movies, radio, the news media, the printed page, cell phones, and the internet. The writer goes on to say Christians and people could care less about what is going on around them because the reality of what is right and wrong has been broken down, and almost anything is accepted in society and the church today as legitimate. The writer states men and women have become oblivious to the fact of how harmful their activities and daily intercourse can be till it is too late, never realizing that the destructive behaviors they freely accept and the declension of personal discipline concerning disruptive patterns of life, if not opposed, will eventually affect them personally, which in turn affects the nation as a whole. If we view things as they are today in America, we can almost admit the writer as correct. Today, all that seems to matter is civil rights and economics in America. We can see every great character has had their antagonists. All met their challenges and eventually defeated what wanted to bring them down in their life. These great characters were not about to stand idly by and allow wickedness to prevail. When meeting the challenge of the issues facing them, they were sometimes, or sometimes not, equipped to meet the challenges before them. However, they rested neither day or night until they had the ammunition needed to defeat their vehement antagonists. It was the battle with antagonisms and the willingness to fight the good fight which summoned these men to great character, making them as legends in our history books. They never said die, they never said surrender. They stood their ground, never turned to the right or left, stayed their course, kept their principles, and believed that all would turn out well, even if it cost them their lives. There was one other driving force behind all these men. They knew that no matter what fate life would hand them, their lives would be an example to others, young and old alike, for all generations. This was written by a fellow American. He said, "I am convinced America is so far in the dark intellectually and spiritually that an imminent collapse is about to take place. I say this because Americans cannot visualize what our struggles are and what choices are left for us to choose from. I have been watching what is taking place in our country and have been trying to inspire others to a greater path in life. I have grown weary of people starting off well and ending in some destructive pattern they had no strength to ward off because of their lack of character. Another writes, "It is more than obvious to me how ludicrous the bondage of Christianity today is. It is the majority of it based on the teachings of the past, which were fallacies passed onward and never challenged, but accepted. Christ and the Blessed Lady are a reality and a power, but the Christian population is off balance and out of touch with the power of influence of our Lord." Another writes, "Turn around and look behind you and see all the opportunities you have missed to never return again. Now look before you and see the outstretched hand of opportunities beckon call." Here are a few quotes that others had written. One writes, "America is intellectually and spiritually barren." Another writes, "Adversaries to teenagers can be their parents. And how sad children have become adversaries to their parents. Whatever happened to love?" Another writes, "Today is a wasted day if you live without love of one another." And finally one writes, "There are those with too much and those with too little. Those with too much sometimes do have too little." Let me leave you with these words. And this is now one of the great tasks of leadership for us, as individuals and citizens this year. But even if we act to erase material poverty, there is another great task that is before us. It is to confront the poverty of satisfaction, a lack of purpose and dignity that afflicts us all. Too much and too long, we have been surrounded and surrendering community excellence and community values in the mere accumulation of material things. Our gross national product now is over $800 billion a year. But the GNP, if we should judge America by that, counts air pollution and cigarette advertising, ambulances to clear our highways of carnage. It counts special locks for our doors and the jails for those who break them. It counts the destruction of our redwoods and the loss of our natural wonder in chaotic sprawl. It counts napalm and the cost of a nuclear warhead, and armored cars for police who fight riots in our streets. It counts the Whitman's rifle and Speck's knife, and the television programs which glorify violence in order to sell toys to our children. Yet the gross national product does not allow for the health of our children, the quality of their education, or the joy of their play. It does not include the beauty or the poetry or the strength of our marriages, the intelligence of our public debates, or the integrity of our public officials. It measures neither wit nor courage, neither our wisdom nor our learning, neither our compassion nor our devotion to our country. It measures everything in short except that which makes life worthwhile. This was written by Robert F. Kennedy. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.